Hey everybody. Now this lecture is another one about verbs. This is about subject-verb agreement, okay? And the foundational rule here is simple. Subjects and predicates must agree in number. If your subject is singular, your verb must be singular. If your subject is plural, your verb must be plural. And in the most basic concept of this, we know that we do not say things like we was, right? It's we were because it's plural and plural. And was is the singular form of the linking verb. That is the very basics, but we're going to get into a little bit more complicated rules, okay? But the main thing about this is it has to agree in whether it's singular or plural, okay? And we have to start with a mind shift that adding an S to a verb does not make it plural. In fact, it is often the case that it's the exact opposite. Most action verbs that end in S are generally singular. So just be aware, we have to make sure things match up. To ensure our subject and verbs always agree, we will follow a simple three-step procedure. First thing we have to do is identify the simple subject in the sentence, okay? Or the compound subject, but the basic subject we have to identify in the sentence. We have to determine if that subject is singular or plural, and then we have to add a singular verb to a singular subject or a plural verb to a plural subject. So here are the sort of specific rules when identifying the subject and determining whether it is singular or plural. Now, the first thing we're going to look at here is prepositional phrase rule. Always ignore the prepositional phrase when locating your subject. This can trip you up if you're not paying attention. The object inside a prepositional phrase, again and again I've said, is never the subject of your sentence. So let's look here at the subject of our sentence. We see, before we get to the verb, this is where we're going to make a choice here, our list of customers. But look here, of is a preposition. Customers is the direct object of the preposition. So even though customers is the last noun you see before your verb, do not make the mistake of thinking that that is your subject. It is not. Our list of customers, we choose a verb being used by the marketing department. The subject in this sentence is list. List is what we are talking about. Prepositional phrase here of customers is telling us what is on our list, okay? So list, we have one list. We might have 4 million customers, but we have one list. So we need to choose our singular verb. Our list of customers is being used by the marketing department. Because if you took out customers, you could take it out and just say our list is being used by the marketing department, right? You couldn't take out list. Our of customers does not make sense. And if you say our customers are being used by the marketing department, that probably indicates that you've got some sort of ethical problem going on, right? So just be careful. Watch out for those prepositional phrases because their direct object is likely is a noun, is going to be a noun. But just because you see that noun in what is the subject part of your sentence does not mean that is the subject of your sentence, okay? Rule 2 handles sentences written in inverted order where the predicate comes before the subject. These are questions, okay? This starts with where. This is a sentence starting with where. Formatted as a question. Before choosing your verb, mentally rewrite the sentence into normal order so the subject sits first. For example, you see here, where is or are the candidates speaking tomorrow? The sentence is talking about candidates, which is plural, right? So if you flip it to the normal order, you would type the candidates are speaking tomorrow. So don't be confused by that inverted order. The candidates are the subject of your sentence, and it is plural, and so you need the plural form of your verb there, okay? Now, sometimes you get into compound subjects, and the outcome depends entirely on the conjunction. You're going to have to pay attention to your conjunctions joining them. Okay, if it's joined by and, the subject is generally plural. For example here, purchase requests, and expense reimbursements. They're joined by and that is plural, and it creates a situation where you need require, which is, again, remember, it doesn't have the S, but it actually is the plural form of the verb. Purchase requests and expense reimbursements require signatures. Okay? That's how you do that one. The exception to that is if we see this here, compound is preceded by each, every, many, a, or many and. It stays singular. For instance, we see here, we have this word right here that might throw us off. Each bridge, I haven't done that in a couple of videos. Each bridge and highway overpass. So we see that it is plural, so we might be tempted to choose are, but this each makes it different. Each means each individual one. It's even though it's compounded, it's bringing them back to being singular, bringing them back to being individual. So the each means we are going to use is. Each bridge is. And you can just test that by taking out bridge and highway overpass. You wouldn't say each are. Each is checked. Okay? That's how you do that. If they're joined by or nor is not a word we use a whole lot. It's kind of hard to even get out. The subject can be singular or plural. To decide, simply look at the noun closest to the verb. Okay? You're going to look at the last noun before the verb and make the verb agree with that specific noun. Neither the manager nor her employee was involved. Okay? And that sounds a little bit awkward to us, maybe. This is one of those things where what we would be tempted to say may not be correct. But we're matching this with employee because the manager's already taken care of. Neither the manager nor her employee was involved. Okay? If it is written with or, the closer noun is now employees. Look here. Either the manager or her employees in this sentence were involved. Because, again, the noun closest to the verb is plural, so we use we. And that is how you decide that. You look at the noun closest to the verb if you're using or nor, and you use that to decide whether you use the singular or the plural form. Okay, now collective nouns. These are nouns that tend to express plural just in themselves, okay? Words like committee. A committee is not one person, it's a group of people. Staff. We have lots of people on staff here at Panola College. A jury is 12 people. A class is not one person, right? They can take a singular or plural verb depending on their behavior. If the collective group is acting as a single unified unit, use a singular verb. So here we have the committee, okay? We know on that committee there are multiple people, but they are functioning as one committee. So we use the singular verb, which again, don't forget, often has the S on it. The committee meets each Monday, right? Because they all meet together as one unit, okay? Now this is different. This is acting differently. The staff debates or debate changing the requirement. Now listen, this is, we know the staff is more than one person, but in order to debate, it's not like meeting. They meet as one. They debate as individuals. Does that make sense? If they're all as one, then there's no debate. Everybody agrees, right? So they debate as individuals. And again, that can be a little more confusing. You got to put your thinking cap on. But realize that if they're doing something that requires them to function as individuals, then then you do it as if it was plural because they're all doing their own thing. If it's one unit, then it's singular. And that's just the best way to try to remember that with collective nouns. Okay, and then we have indefinite pronouns. Pronouns like each, either, neither, anyone, everybody, someone, and nobody are always singular, okay? Each of the team members is eligible. Remember, each one is. Each will bring you to is. Pronouns like both, few, many, and several are always plural. For example, both of the recommendations are acceptable. That's just something, it can begin to sort of sound right to you, but you might just have to memorize those, which ones go to which, okay? Pronouns like any, more, most, none, and some can be either singular or plural. For those specific words, you have to look directly at the object of the preposition to decide. In the sentence, most of the team members are eligible. Ask yourself, most of what? Members, okay? Members is plural, so you're going to use are. Most of the members are, okay? In this one, most of the pie is or are gone. Pie is singular. So even though you see that word most, you're going to use is, okay? Those are just a little different with those indefinite pronouns. You can, again, get help from software. That is what I'm always recommending. Make sure you pay attention. Whatever you're typing in, if those blue lines, red lines, those notifications start coming up, always check it. Always run your spelling and grammar check before you turn anything in that is a business writing, so that you can see for sure that you have met all the rules, because the rules you see can be so confusing. It's really hard to even break it down into a video, because it's like, well, this is this, except when it's not, and then it's that. And that is just the basis. That's just our English language. So if you need any more help with this, do not hesitate to reach out to me. Okay, as always, there are more specific examples and more information in your module. I will see you in the next video.